Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Hello, what is up? I'm Jared Welch. He is Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, February 12th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, my man?
Yeah, it should be a awesome weekend. I'm very pumped for this weekend. 50-point prep race coming up, the Risen Star, world's richest race, the Saudi Cup. I've got a rant about the Saudi Cup and the Saudi Derby. We'll go over a little later, but this should be big. And this feels like, wake up at 7 in the morning and you got racing all the way until we go to bed. So it's going to be one of those days.
Yep. So this day and then, the Dubai is obviously those similar days where you have the all day racing. But yeah, and I don't know. We'll see. $20 million race, the richest race in the world now. So that's always fun. We'll see. Forever Young versus Nisos. That's kind of the main event for 20 million. And the Saudi Derby is interesting. So we'll talk a little bit about that race. The main event of the weekend from over here has got to be the Risen Star, of course, which may or may not have the Derby winner in it. Let's say this: may or may not have the Derby favorite in it. We'll start. We'll keep it kind of easier there because Paladin, is definitely should be right. He's kind of with no Ted Nafi. Renegade obviously bolsters that as well. So if he comes back and looks good and runs well on the Risen Star, you got to think he'll be I wouldn't say heavy favorite this year, but a favorite as we are mid-February.
I mean, as we sit here right now, he's 8-1. I think you have to be crazy to play him at 8-1. But after what Renegade did, I do think it definitely somebody's got to be favored at this point. And he's the one people point to because of how well Renegade ran and how he beat him in the Rimson 2 starts back for Renegade, last time out for Paladin. So, it's a good launching off point. We kind of know that. We kind of know now that this is what Chad Brown wants to do ever since they kind of, went a mile and an eighth here at this spot for the Risen Star. This is kind of what Chad Brown has used for his kind of stepping stone to the Bluegrass, which is the prep we all know he likes to do right before the Derby. So, yeah, it's a big race. It's a big race to get him started. We kind of know and understand he's not a push, and hey, we want their absolute best right when they get started. We know he's kind of a developmental trainer, much like Bill Mott. So,
yeah,
we're not going to see him run off the screen in this race, but we still should see a nice, solid performance. Still set him up, for the Bluegrass and then ultimately for the Kentucky Derby.
Well, that's what's kind of interesting about the horse is that, one, it hasn't ran since December, and 2, he's only ran twice. He broke his maiden, in fact, in that race. So it's like, as much as and deservedly so, right? He's got a little bit of back class just based off of, the Renegade, but also he's impeccably bred. He's like $2 million horse. Like there's a lot of really positive things, but the also reality is he's not ran but twice. And so there's really still a lot to find out with the horse. Now he's got all the signs. Like you said, you got the way he's campaigned him or is campaigning them here. It has them like, hey, he's kind of telling us, hey, this is my Derby horse, and then we'll see who else kind of in that barn kind of joins. But Paladin is the horse, right, as of now.
I think lightly raced horses and horses with big spaces between races, that's just what we are now. For, 80% of trainers, that just kind of, that's what it is. Now that's racing in a way. And there's not many left. Mark Cassidy, I told you off air yesterday, I was like, that guy is still the old school mentality. If they're good, run them. Just a lot of them aren't. And so I think that's just something you just kind of go, yeah, well, that's what we usually have to deal with kind of the quote unquote new age trainers. So, and it's something you got to decipher, more and more we're getting into these, big prep races, and you see only 2 or 3 races for these horses, first 5, 6, 7, even back when we first got started. So it's kind of a thing of a past for a lot of these guys now. So I don't worry about it as much. I remember when Justify won the Derby in 2018, we thought, oh my God, it's incredible. It's happened. He's Apollo, and then Mage won it and we're not racing as a 2-year-old. And we're like, wait a second. I think this is what racing is now, So it's just an adjustment. We have adjusted to that.
Well, yeah, it was like just forget about it. Now it's like, well, it is.
It's
March.
It's not even. I don't even think you think about it anymore.
It's March.
No offense to Mage, but come on, like
yeah.
It didn't take a monster to do it. Mage proved it.
And now you're just like, yeah, well, I get 2 starts, he'll be all right. Previously you're just like, there's no chance. Like, forget about it. It's it just won't happen.
Well, I mean, there used to be a time where, let's say, Paladin's going to have 4 races leading into the Derby. Well, gosh, that would be a negative. It's like 4 races. What is this? And now it's like, oh, that's probably, yeah. You're sitting there going, yeah, 2 preps, 4. That's about right.
Yeah, he's primed. He's perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's
bringing him along, great. Yeah, so it's just different. It's different now.
Well, speaking of Paladin in the barn, maybe is there a chance he must see something the best horse in the barn? Because last week we saw a nice horse. Maybe he wins both the Derby and the Preakness with his out of his barn. Last week, we saw a very impressive debut by Secured Freedom in a really nice race, at Tampa with Power Shift, and those two just won by the length of the stretch, or were ahead of the length of the stretch. Secured Freedom got the job done. To your point a second ago, you kind of mentioned how Chad does train, and how to the flip side of how Pletcher trains, and typically a horse that debuts for Pletcher is going to be really tough to beat, right? Because that's how he trains. Like, they're ready to go. Whereas Chads typically are getting better and better as they go. And so for Power Shift, or for Secure Freedom to do what he did there at that stretch run and kind of extend his past him late in that race, that's a nice looking horse. Now, like you say, kind of up against it with timing, but the other way is like, well, you might have time because look, it is mid-February and we are in 2026.
I think this is one of the best horses we've seen, if not the best horse we've seen so far. Emerging Market, not Secured Freedom there, Jared, but Emerging Market, certainly a horse that was. You said it perfectly, other than calling him the wrong name, but Power Shift for Todd Pletcher, he ran a Todd Pletcher debut type of race that doesn't lose. And Emerging Market really shouldn't have ran his best race last Saturday, and he didn't. I think he'll run better, and he beat him. The margin was close, but like, he had him measured there at the stretch. So I was blown away. I think he's going to be a superstar. Obviously, you got to see how they develop. We've seen maiden winners burst onto the scene before, and they don't take that next step. But if he can, he's way ahead of almost everybody, and maybe even his stablemate. And how Chad Brown would it be to see a Paladin maybe win, the Kentucky Derby, and then save him for the Belmont and put Emerging Market in the Preakness, right? I mean, it feels like his Preakness type of horse. He said after the race, they're not going to push him. They're not going to, make him, just, hey, rush, get to the Derby. They're going to take their time. Well, that to me screams, maybe we're going to run in a race like the Lexington or something like that, and then go to the Preakness. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But to me, he was the most impressive 3-year-old we saw last week. And Power Shift may have been the second most, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah. To be clear, it was Emerging Market, not Secured Freedom. I had the fantasy page up because I was going through going to talk about some of these claims, and I kept looking at Secured Freedom, who was dropped for Emerging Market. So there was where that, if someone's like, where the hell did that come from? That's where it came from. I pretty much agree with everything you're saying. And I think, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say how good he's going to be, but that performance looked very, very good. He's well bred, although not like a huge, he wasn't like I think it was like a $180 or something $1,000 purchase. So not like a massive Klarovich stable. So different ownership than Paladin. So, they might both go towards the Derby. But I tend to think what you're saying. I think maybe he points Paladin to the Derby, and this horse is kind of his the horse we talk about heading to the Preakness. Like this, man, he only debuted in February, but man, he is ready to go. This is gonna be tough. Whoever wins the Derby. So I guess it will be interesting if Paladin wins the Derby, see what happens there. But which is always kind of tricky whenever you have same trainer, different owners. Obviously, very high-powered owners for him. So we'll see what happens there. But obviously, don't put the can't get ahead of ourselves. Who knows what will happen? But I'm with you, emerging market, and I want to also ask you about Power Shift because that horse is now an interesting. You and I have talked about this off air, but that horse is now in a very interesting spot because you got to assume, right? He was a favorite, and Pletcher's got to assume that he was going to win that race going into it, like with the plans of, hey, it's Ripoli, we're going to go here, boom, 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 get to the Derby. Well, now he's still a maiden, which is like on paper he's a maiden. 99% of the time, that performance wins that race. What do you think about Power Shift? Are they pausing and waiting with him, or do you think, considering the connections with still all hands, we're going forward with this horse regardless of him being a maiden still?
Well, I think with Mike Rapoli as a trainer, you're going to see, or owner, you're going to see, he thinks he's a trainer, but owner, you're going to see a horse that probably, depending on what else he's got lined up, probably going to try to get pushed, if not onto the Derby Trail, on somewhere big soon. Would not be shocked if the horse goes to a stakes out of the maiden, even though he finished second. I mean, we just had a maiden win the Sam F. Davis, so you could do it again. I'm very excited to see where he goes next. I guarantee you they thought, okay, we'll get an easy win here. I guarantee you they didn't think he'd have to run all that hard in that race. So, I think they probably thought we'll go over Tampa and do what we do sometimes in these undercards and get a big win and then move on to the stakes. So it'll be interesting. Rapoli's going to want to be aggressive. And look, I mean, I kind of made a little joke there about it, but it's okay to be aggressive too sometimes. And if you really believe in the horse, push him and see what happens. You may pay the price and you may go too much too soon, like they did with Mindframe when he was a 3-year-old. But they also hit the board in the Belmont and the Haskell before and then had a nice 4-year-old year with him. So maybe Power Shift is that type, he certainly looked at. I think they'll try to push him into something.
I'll even go as far to say it is not out of the stretch to think, and if one of those horses, if not both those horses, would have ran in a couple of races later in the Sam F. Davis, that Power Shift would have won the race. Yeah, it's insane to think it's his debut race. He's not going to happen in the Sam F. Davis. But the point of it is that was the most impressive race when you compared that to the Sam F. Davis.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about just a pure, this was more impressive than this. Yeah, I agree. Now, how do they look when they're out there with better horses around them? I think that's always a question mark, right? Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. I was most impressed by those two horses. Yeah, again, but that's why we always talk about class, right? Because then it's like, okay, now Renegade's out there and the Puma's out there, and it's like, well, it's a little bit different than racing against some horses probably in that race that just weren't very good, the maiden special weight. So that's the question mark. That's the kind of the next step. But yeah, I mean, it's just a black and white picture. Yeah, they were more impressive.
We'll see. I think their next starts for both those horses are going to be kind of telling of what their maybe long-term plan, well, not long-term, but mid to long-term plan are for the Derby / Preakness. Kind of, if we see both of them in a stakes race immediately, then maybe it's like, hey, they're going to try to get to the Derby with these horses. If they're not, if it's more allowance, if it's made special weight again, even for a Power Shift, then we're like, all right, maybe it's Belmont Preakness type horses in those for those. So we'll see. But obviously, two very good prospects for the Triple Crown Trail that will, unless something were to happen, seems like they'll have some sort of impact at some point down the road or in the Triple Crown. So there's a look at a couple of them. But hey, let's get into the show because we have a lot to talk about. We got the Risen Star at Fairgrounds. That's the main Derby prep this weekend, and one of the major Derby preps really all year. Then we're going to look at the $20 million Saudi Cup, the richest race in the world. Plus, we'll look at some rapid-fire picks for the weekend's remaining Derby and Oaks prep races. Let's go. All right, Halterman, let's pull up the international entries here, which are always like just different. Like it's just, this looks weird. It's like I can't. Okay, let's see. Race number 4. No, that's the last one. We'll talk about that one later. Race 9. All right, guys, let's head overseas to kick things off. We got we'll talk about the 2 main races of the weekend, which of course is the Saudi Cup and the Risen Star. Then we'll get into some rapid fire picks for, we'll go to Sunland for the Sunland Derby and Oaks. We'll go back to Fairgrounds for the Rachel, and then we'll come back over here for the Saudi Derby. But race number 9 in Saudi, the Saudi Cup is the main event. $20 million for 4-year-olds and up, going a mile and 1/8. And you can see it here on the screen, Halterman. Field of 14 for the 20 million. And really, you and I were discussing this race earlier, and it's like field of 14, kind of a 2-horse race. You got the Breeders' Cup Classic winner, Forever Young, making his first start since that impressive effort at 7-5, versus Bob Baffert and Flavian Pratt, the number 8 or 12. Nysos at 4-1, also a Breeders' Cup winner, but in a different race. So we'll see how these two match up. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's always exciting when you get this great matchup like this. And last year we had Forever Young and Romantic Warrior, and what a race it was for Forever Young winning. This time, we have to beat Bob Baffert, and you have to beat Bob Baffert, who is at Saudi. He went over there.
I know, I saw that.
He's with Nysos. He came out and said, look, Nysos is my horse. Nevada Beach is my beer money horse. So he literally said that. So he may have just, I'm sure Nevada Beach is the one now. But Nysos is the horse that I think can take down Forever Young. I think that's the battle. At the end of the day, 2 things really bother me. Really just one thing bothers me. I don't think Nysos has been all that brilliant the last couple of races. Before that, I saw nothing but brilliance from the source. The last couple, he's just been good. And you're going to have to be brilliant to beat Forever Young. So I went Forever Young on top. I've got Nysos in second. Would not be shocked if he beats him. Nysos, you may want to sit down for this, is better than Forever Young. I just don't know that we're going to get it. So I took Forever Young on top.
Yeah, it's it's been a minute. He's been so. Here's the thing about Nysos. It's since he's ran 8 starts and he's 5, right? So he obviously had a very long layoff. But he's ran 8 times. He's won 7 of them. The one loss was the one off the massive layoff. And by the way, still damn near won the race. Like, he has done nothing wrong, really, his entire career. He's won the Breeders' Cup. He's won multiple grade 1s. He's ran stakes his whole career other than one is made in special weight. And so it's like really hard to knock anything about the horse. Now, you can say that he might be better going longer, although we don't know, because guess what? What's odd about him is we've never seen him run at this far. The other thing about it is it's cool, and why Bob Baffert has tried horses like this horse here is that it's 1 turn. So you do have that factor as well that maybe can help a horse like him that maybe does not want to go quite this long on paper to get the distance. So all those being said, I think he's obviously got a huge shot. He's going to be the one that Forever Young is going to have to beat. But, man, Forever Young has shown signs, obviously. He won this race last year. His Breeders' Cup Classic this past year was unbelievable, right? It was by far his best performance of his career. They've already made plans of coming back to the race, and the fact that they won this race last year. Won this race in 2024 as well. It's hard or Saudi Derby. I'm sorry, won that race and then won the Saudi Cup last year. So it's like the dude loves Saudi. I think he's going to be really tough to beat, man.
Well, and then you go back and you look at the 2 Saudi races that he won, the Saudi Derby back when he was a 3-year-old. He beat Bookham Dano. Well, that's not easy to do at the distance of the Saudi Derby.
At a mile? Woo!
Yeah. 1 turn mile. I mean, Bookham Dano ended up being...
That's insane, really.
Yeah, a horse like Forever Young, who's bred to go longer, really probably shouldn't beat Bookham Dano at that distance. And he did it. And it was impressive. And then look, he beat Romantic Warrior, who, yes, I know more running on the turf for that horse. Like that's kind of where, not kind of, that is where he made all of his money, but still he had to go get him, had to go run him down. Romantic Warrior looked like a winner. They finished 10.5 lengths ahead of everybody else. I mean, that was incredible what he did last year. So he has ran 2 massive races, in my opinion, over this track. And that's another reason why it's hard to go against him. He runs really well here. He probably the best horse. He is the best horse anyway, as far as what he's accomplished. And so he's going to be really, really tough to beat. What I'll say about Nisos, he's one of the very few horses that I just feel like can actually come over here and beat him. And maybe one of just two, let's say. I probably would have picked Nisos in the Breeders' Cup Classic if he was there, because that would have meant he ran in the Pacific Classic where he ultimately had to scratch out of. And that's why he went to the dirt mile to begin with. And when he scratched out of the Pacific Classic, a lot of people said he's probably done. And he came back and won the Breeders' Cup dirt mile. And then a lot of people said, well, that was probably it. He's still running. So, maybe he's got him healthy. The Lafitte Pinkai was just an okay race from him. He's got to be elite to win here. And that's my biggest thing. I know he's here and Baffert's here, and I think he's a great horse. Can he get to that elite level? Because that's what's going to take to beat Forever Young. And so that's the race to me. The rest of these horses, look, if they win, I think it means Nisos didn't run very well and Forever Young didn't run very well.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then it could be anybody, really. I kind of like Star of Wonder a little bit, who's 35-1, if that happens. But on top, I think one of those two, Nisos and Forever Young, are going to run well. Forever Young's the most logical play.
I'm not going to, I can't sit here and be like, there's impossible that any of these horses don't win, that they win other than those two. But I do think, it's overseas. It's the first race for Forever Young since we saw him in Del Mar, and Nisos is Nisos, right? Like he's going to run well. I still believe he'll run well, but does he want to go this far? And could he get beat? Sure. So but to your point, if someone else wins it, it's not going to be because Forever Young ran his race and he got beat. It's going to be they didn't fire or whatever happened. So possible, sure. Unlikely, I think very. Listen, I don't know. Like Nisos is the thing about Nisos that I like, and like you go back and you look at that race that he lost, his comeback race. And again, the track conditions were a mess, and it was a disaster really from start. But dude, he never stopped trying. Right? He just kept coming. He kept coming. He was going. So. He's going to put in the effort. I honestly did a double take when I saw the picture that Baffert was over there. I was like, wait, he's over there? Like, holy shit, that's a good sign. Because ever since he had the heart attack, he's like always been like, I'm never going, overseas again. So yeah, pretty impressive that he made the trip. I just, go back and watch. I know you have, but I'm saying the people like go back and watch that race from last year with Forever Young. Romantic Warrior had it won, and Forever Young just battled, man. That's another horse that just got all guts. I think, we'll see what Forever Young does. I know they want to come back to the Breeders' Cup. It'd be kind of fun to see Nisos try the Classic next year. Like if he can run like and wants to run that long. So I think it could be a fun little rivalry between the two. I can't go past Forever Young. Though. I think he's that good. I really do. I thankfully did pick him in the Classic, but even I didn't think he would run that good, right? Like he was awesome that day, and he's been very good. So I'm gonna go Forever Young here to win. I don't love the 7-5. The dude's won $20 million in lifetime earnings, 20 million almost. This race would definitely get him up there a little further.
Yeah, just to echo the Breeders' Cup thing, if you would have told me Sierra Leone ran that well, I definitely would have thought that's a win. And he got beat, so that it just Forever Young was just fantastic. But like I said, he did that here a couple times as well. So look, and look, the final thing is like, I get like, you don't like 7-5, but he should be, right?
Yeah.
That sometimes you got to be realistic about the odds. Be like, well, yeah, I don't like it, but that's what you're going to take on him. Like he's earned that, so through great performances.
I have to ask, although you kind of said it in the opening, but is no like the other Baffert, like, is there any way that horse can win?
I mean, if let's say Nisos is, his physical issues that he's had pop up during the race, and I'm not saying he gets like goes down or anything, but he just kind of something bothers him and he doesn't run well. Like that could happen. And then, Forever Young, it's a bad trip or whatever, like make some big excuse for him. Then I mean, Nevada Beach has a chance. Bishop's Bay has a chance. I mentioned Star of Wonder, kind of my long shot to mix in, has a chance. Like the door definitely at Luxor Cafe, like the door opens and you only have to have two things go wrong before that door really opens. I mean, on paper, Nevada Beach can't beat Forever Young or Nisos. I just don't think that's a thing. I don't think Bishop Bay can either, really.
Yeah.
But if you get those horses and they just something happens, they don't run their best, then yeah, I mean it really brings every single horse into the equation. Other than those two, if they struggle.
I agree. Do you think just before we go to the next race here, do you think that is there any is Forever Young is the leader in the clubhouse, right? To win the Classic. I mean, who else are you looking at this early? It's super early, right? But because you look back at that Classic, and a lot of them are gone, and so who is going to be the horse that is that could challenge him that we haven't seen yet?
Well, I mean, it's a horse we've seen and didn't get to run it, and it's Sovereignty to me. Like,
I mean, when's he coming back, dude?
I think it's a major positive towards the Classic that he's not going overseas. Honestly, I think if you see him show up in first of the summer, running the Whitney, find another little prep and go to the Classic, I think that's where you're going to see him at his absolute best, and I think that's what they're working towards.
Is he going to do Dubai?
No,
is that a plan?
Nope.
So we're just going straight to summer racing, probably. Yeah,
that's what it sounds like. They kind of said he's not going to be ready for Dubai. It's not 100% out of the question, but it. I mean, if you listen to Mott, it sounds like it's 100% out of the question. Yeah. I think it'll help him towards the Classic. I think if you say, okay, Mott, this is what we want to do, work backwards towards it, I'll take my chances that he's going to run a very, very good Breeders' Cup Classic. And, to Kevin's point here, he says boring. It's two things. Okay. You're not going overseas, and that kind of is what they do now. So in that respect, it's boring. We're also going to get to see him run at United States racetracks a lot more than we would have otherwise. So there's good and bad to it. Right. Obviously, yeah, from a betting standpoint, Sovereignty shows up at the Ali Sheba, let's say on Derby weekend. Well, I mean, he's 1-9, but you get to watch him at least, where you may not see him until August if he's going to go run in Dubai. So there's good and bad to it. The other bad thing is it's like the matchup with Forever Young. We thought we would get it in Dubai. I mean, that's everybody kind of assumed that's where Sovereignty would point. And, at this point, that doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I don't, Forever Young is really only came over for either the Classic or the Derby. So I can't imagine we'll see him over here until potentially the Classic. So we just got to get Sovereignty there. And I think the best chance, like you said, to get him there is by basically, lightly racing him, or at least waiting later. Do you think, let's carve out a kind of an ideal plan? Al Sheba, the Whitney.
I would say Ali Sheba or Stephen Foster.
And then Whitney.
I know there's been some talk about moving the Jockey Club Gold Cup to a spot that would make more sense to prep with the Whitney, so you could get them both. I know there's some talk about doing that, so that could be what they're trying to do up at New York. They have not announced the summer. You have the race dates, but they have not announced the summer stake schedule. So I think they might be working kind of maybe even with Bill Mott to make those races are kind of placed where he could run in both. But yeah, I think we know he's going to be in the Whitney.
Yeah.
And we know if they can get another race there at Naira, Bill Mott's going to do it. So, but yeah, it's going to be a pretty conservative schedule for a horse of his caliber.
Yep, but hey, let's get him there. I'd rather see him. I'd rather see him at the Classic than see him in the Saudi Cup or Saudi Derby or the Cup, I guess. So let's leave it there, and hopefully he gets there. But we'll see. He's not back yet. So, but definitely, other than that, that might be it. But I don't know. Lots of time to go. Halterin, your pick is?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Forever Young.
Forever Young to beat Nisos. I'm going Forever Young here as well. Should be a fun race over in Saudi. All right, we'll get back to Saudi here in a second, but let's go to the main event, really, of the weekend from our side of the pond. It's the Risen Star. All right, Halterman, let's go to Fairgrounds now. So we'll talk about the Risen Star, race number 12, Fasic Tipton Risen Star, grade 2, $500,000 on the line, mile and eighth for the 3-year-olds, and Derby points on the line. The first 50-point race, 50 points to the winner. 50, 25, 15, 10, 5 for your top 5 finishers. Basically saying if you win this race, you are secured a spot in the Kentucky Derby, assuming you can get there. So listen, Paladin, 8-5 morning line favorite. The horse we haven't seen, since last year, since he ran in that Remsen Stakes, as it making his only a second start as a 2-year-old. Had a birthday, turned 3. Now we see him here a few months later in the Risen Star. Tough to beat here, but, it's not exactly the easiest field. There are some nice horses in here. What do you think of Paladin?
It's exciting. We know kind of how Chad Brown treats his top Derby horse. They come here and then they go to the Bluegrass. We've seen it with Zandon and Sierra Leone. So that's very exciting. I can't wait to see what Paladin does. And after what Renegade did last week, it's just hard for me to go against Paladin. So I've got him on top in the spot. Been excited to see him. Was really excited in the Remsen and thought he passed that test. A couple things I'll say. We've got to see that same improvement we saw with Renegade last week at the Sam F. Davis. We don't have to, I guess, but you would love to see that with Paladin. Take that next step because, I thought Renegade's best race of his career was the Sam F. Davis last week. And Paladin, I need to see him kind of do that. So let's see if he takes the next step. You also, you got to remember, Chad Brown's best race is not going to be right here with Paladin. It's going to be in a few weeks at the Bluegrass and then ultimately the Kentucky Derby. This is a stepping stone, and he's a stepping stone type of trainer. We saw Zandon come here and lose, and then he ran a bang up race in the Bluegrass, and then in the Derby ran really well, got third. We saw Sierra Leone win here, but it wasn't amazing. It was just a solid race, and then he saw him develop and run better and better as they went along. So I don't expect the A+ race from Paladin. I still expect him to beat this field.
I think he's, I don't know. I text you basically the moment they crossed the wire in the Sam F. Davis. I said, you got a good one. You're like, I don't have that horse. I'm like, no. You have the horse, I think, because I like Paladin that much more after seeing Renegade's performance. And yeah, I mean, Renegade did beat him on debut, but Paladin got the best of him the next time, and it was fairly decisive. And I think Paladin, the longer they go, will get even better. I think he's going to love Fairgrounds, personally. You never know, right, until they run on it. But I think he's going to love that long stretch. He's kind of that grindy, wear you down type of horse, and I think he'll love that stretch. So yeah, I think he's going to be really tough here. I mean, if you're going against him, I think you've got options. Obviously, the first option would be, in my opinion, would be Golden Tempo, who is undefeated for Sherry DeVoe. We've talked a lot about her, as good as she's been this year. Won the Lecomte last time out, looked pretty damn good, came from the clouds, which is what this horse does. Another horse that really likes Fairgrounds, 2 for 2 at Fairgrounds, and, gets Jose Ortiz back aboard. What do you think about Golden Tempo's chances?
Well, I love a lot of things about Golden Tempo, and I hate a couple of things about Golden Tempo, to be brutally honest. I love the breeding. I love Sherry DeVoe as a trainer. I think she's, gonna bring him this horse along and stepping stone type of trainer as well versus just push to get the absolute best quick. So I like that. I like that the horse has been able to find a way to win the last 2 races. Part of my problem, and the biggest part of my problem, is the running style. We've seen this over and over and over. It is so hard to win races coming from last or close to last on the dirt in the United States. It's tough to string races together. Sierra Leone was a really good horse and won a lot of big races. He could not consistently win, and the running style was a big part of it. It's just tough. So you're always kind of up against it. I just haven't been a big fan of either prep race so far at the fairgrounds. I thought the Gun Runner was weak. I thought the LeCompte was weak, honestly. And so I'm just looking for the new shooters kind of in this spot. I really like this horse. I think there's a lot more left to see. I think we've just scratched the surface with him. I just worry that he's going to get too far behind. I don't think there'll be a ton of pace here. And I just think he's facing better horses this time around.
Well, I mean, he had Golden Tempo had to run down like Mesquite and Carson Street and not Paladin, so I think there's some other factors like just the class of those fields, let alone, again, Paladin's lightly raced. He hasn't necessarily been class tested either, but Renegade showed he's got fairly good class. But yeah, I think he, like you said, he's going to be up against it with the pace and having to run down a good horse. Give me a horse in the race that's like in that 8-1, I'll even give you 6-1 since that's kind of the baseline there. 6-1 and higher that you think maybe didn't run great last time out, but maybe could, I wouldn't say maybe turn the tables and win, but could run very well at a decent price.
I think the way you ask the question leads towards Universe, like a horse that's been pretty good and just last time out was not great at all. But I think we kind of looked at the Smarty Jones and like you can kind of draw a line through the whole thing. It was a paceless race. And, the horse that got the best trip won. And then, your horse on your fantasy team, Silent Tactic, who got beaten the Smarty Jones by 4.5 and ran pretty well to get second, honestly, but never had a chance. Yeah. He zooms by those horses when the races kind of ran with a normal pace and things like that and wins the Southwest. I think Universe could have a similar type of turnaround. Now, do I think he's going to win? No. But, I mean, this is a horse that is going to run a hell of a lot better in this spot. He just never ran in the Smarty Jones. I totally tossed anything that happened to Smarty Jones. I don't really care going forward with it. It's not relevant to me. So I think he'll run a lot better. I think he'll run a hell of a lot better. So I think that's the horse that could turn it around. I think the number 7 Courting is another one that's just like mentally we're not there yet with this horse. I think there's a lot to him. I think if Pletcher can kind of iron out the mental aspect with him, I think there's talent to be had. So the 1 and the 7 could turn it around based on what happened last time versus this time.
So the way I asked it, I kind of wanted to see where you were at comparable to some of these others that have had trouble versus like Carson Street, who looked really good last time, just got a little tired late. Are you kind of on the belief he's 8-1 by the way in this race? So are you kind of on the belief that like, hey, we kind of saw like he been pretty good in that race and it wasn't good enough to win. So how in the world could he win here?
Yeah, I mean, you go back and watch the last race. It's like if you're good, you win. With what I mean, he got an absolute perfect trip.
Oh, yeah, the setup was perfect. Yeah,
they didn't go fast. He turns for home with the lead. It looks like he's gonna win, and he gets beat. And I don't see how that projects to a win in this spot. Now maybe he can get out and get a decent trip again and finish third again. And I think that's within the realm, but I would be pretty surprised if he's able to get the job done here. That felt like that was the race. Finish the race and you win, and he couldn't do it. And to me, that just kind of gave me a little bit of a sign about he's just okay.
Universe for me is the horse that I think can win. I mean, he could win, I guess, but just a horse that I want to say I picked him in the Smarty. I know I liked him a lot in the Smarty Jones, and never really ran at all, like you said. And he certainly is better than that. I do think Fairgrounds will suit him. Kind of another horse that has that kind of grind going way about him, and McPeak adds the blinkers, so it kind of tells you he's trying to get him to focus a little more on the race, and maybe that will help. And anytime there's an equipment change, I don't like it when it's right before the Derby, say, or whatever. But in a race like this, early in their 3-year-old careers, when they're kind of figuring the horse out, can sometimes make a horse really pop, at least that one time, anyways. And so I think Universe is playable at 8-1. I certainly like him underneath because I do think McPeak has a way to get these horses run well, especially like at a big price. So yeah, I think Universe certainly deserves another look after a really bad effort last out. But yeah, I'm on Paladin. I like him too much. I think he's going to leave. I think we'll be done Saturday. I guess we'll say there's racing on Sunday too. So, as far as Derby preps, not anything really good, but we'll leave the weekend saying, Paladins. I think you did move him to number 1 this week, right?
Yep.
I think you'll be very happy you did.
I hope so.
Yeah, I know you hope so. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was more of the more I really think about Nearly, I don't think he's the Derby winner. And I never felt great about putting him number 1. I know you and I talked right after, and I was like, I didn't think that was that good.
No.
And I'm somewhere in the middle of I think it was good, but I don't think it was great.
I really wanted to, after, that, he was awesome. And then the more I watched it, and I don't I think he in this year's field, I think he's certainly up there, right? I don't blame you at all for ranking him highly because you have to.
Yeah.
But I also think if you're going into the first Saturday of May with him as your pick, you're going to feel a little bit of Tapit Trice flashbacks. I don't know. And not to say they have completely different styles, but the point is we kind of knew Tapit Trice wasn't that good, but you're like, yeah, maybe he's it just because no one else is really running that good. And he's, whatever. So I don't know. I think you're dying to see a horse that you can count on and looks the part. Paladin to me is that horse. Now he's got to go out and prove it still. He hasn't even ran as a 3-year-old. But I think I'd feel a lot better the way if he wins on Saturday, saying that for now, that's my horse.
After the Bluegrass, I thought Tapit Trice was really good. So,
dude, you knew that he wasn't unbelievable the way his style was, though.
I wasn't confident, but it became mostly because it was the Derby. He wasn't a standout. But if you would have told me he turned out the way he did, I would have been pretty surprised.
Well, I don't think either one of us thought he would run as bad as he did in the Derby. I mean, that was
even moving forward. I thought he was. I mean, the Derby. It's look, it's the Derby, but he sucked.
Hell, I picked him in the Belmont, I think, and he tried everything he could do to win that race, and it was still not anywhere close to being good enough.
No. I really thought he was.
He did look awesome. He did look awesome in the Bluegrass. So I'll give you that for sure.
I really thought he was going to be really good, and he wasn't. So,
anyways, not to bring up that horse. That's you get $1 for every time we mention Tapit Trice on the show. So that's going to go right to the piggy bank. All right. Yeah, Paladin for both of us here in the Riz Star. Let's see if he can get the job done, and let's see if he can end the weekend as the horse to beat in Kentucky. I'm excited about this one. This is the first prep in a while that I going into it. I'm yeah, I'm excited to see this one because I think this might be there's a lot of signs there, and I think this might be the horse. I just do.
Yeah. I think it's the most exciting one so far for sure. Yeah, he should look really good against this field if he is that type.
Is there a world where he wins and you still are not impressed? I guess, or do you meaning if he wins but it's a very small margin, or are you still gonna have that belief of hey, you know what, it's Chad, he wasn't supposed to win impressively. Yeah, he's still my horse.
Yeah. Even if he loses, I would be slow to give up on him because of the Chad Brown thing and how we just kind of know how he operates. So, Yeah, I think any win's a good win. And, even if he runs well and for whatever reason finish second, I don't think you totally dismiss him. But I guess the problem with the answer and why I'm struggling with it, I really don't think these horses are that good that he's facing. So I sit here and go, okay, if this is like some kind of really good horse, his B race should win and look pretty good. So, and maybe I'm underrating the field, but that's just kind of how I feel. I'm not going to say American Pharaoh, but let's say Always Dreaming. His B race probably would have beat this field pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking then,
I mean, until we see otherwise, yeah, it kind of feels that way.
Yeah. And like Always Dreaming, when he went into his Derby, you knew he was pretty good, So, because I don't want to compare Paladin to like elite horses because I don't think he's there yet. But if you're pretty good, like if we're sitting here Derby Day and we're saying, yeah, Paladin's pretty damn good, he's got a chance, he probably needs to win this race looking decent at least. Yeah.
Yep, he should. I think he should. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, time for Rapid Fire presented by the Risen Star 2026 Betting Bible. We just talked about the Risen Star. If you want all our plays for the race, not just the Risen Star, but the entire 12 race card, my plays, Halterman's plays, everybody over at racingdudes.com. It's over at the website. You can get it there. You just go to the Get Premium button right here on your screen or go under Premium, hit Betting Bible, and learn more about the Betting Bible. It gets kind of a little more details, questions answered, anything you're looking to learn about it right there on the page. You got top 4 picks from every single race, including John White, pick 4s and pick 5s from Halterman and I. Every race, whether it be exacta, trifectas, doubles we like, the exact bet that, the main play or whatever you want to call it, our top 4s, anything you need to help you with cash that day. You can follow it along exactly, or you can use it as a guide, whatever you want. It's all right there. Racingdudes.com, the Risen Star Betting Bible. Let's cash some big tickets together on Saturday. All right, Halterman, let's kick things off of Rapid Fire with race 4. We're going to go back overseas. So a little jet lag going on. We're going back overseas to the Saudi Derby, which is race 4 on the card. Starts early, 9 a.m., $1.5 million race, going a mile with a field of 14. And, it's a tricky race because, one, you have the unknownness of the international horses that are, / Japanese horses, like, since that's pretty much all most of those are. And then you have kind of like, My World, obviously, your 5-2 favorite. We know about him. Then you have some like Obliteration, who I think is really good, but maybe he doesn't want to go Derby distance, but at a mile, maybe can. I don't know. What do you think of the race?
Yeah, it's great. And it would be even better if we had actual past performances. I mean, and so I'll go on my rant now because I feel it's a good time to do it. I didn't want to do it during the Saudi Cup. We've got to fix this. Point blank, we have to fix this problem where we have no information on international races. And I understand, hey, well, maybe there's no data, right? But I would just take, hey, we took a stopwatch to this and here were the fractions of the race. I would take that. Like, give me any information and I would be much, much more excited about the Saudi Cup as a card, as a full card. Look, the Saudi Cup itself, you got more information than some of these other races. You can find the replays easier. You can piece stuff together and make it work. I don't want to do that for the whole card. It's hard. Some are in Japan and some are in Ireland. And you gotta, as a company, somebody out there fix this and at least give us some kind of data on this. I don't want any excuses. It's 2026. I think I could sit here and give you something. If you employed me to do it, I could watch replays and do something here. This is crazy. So yeah, you look at this field and you go, okay, well, the favorite is Satano Voyage. And we've got 4 running lines here listed. And I have no information on any of them. I know he won. That's it.
He won in the final time.
So you can go look at replays and that helps for sure. But we don't know shit about any of these horses unless you really dive into it. So yeah, I mean, for this race, because I knew we were going to cover it, I did. You still don't feel as good as if you had data you could actually look at. So look, the number 8, Satano Voyage, his past performances are electric. They're really good. I'm sorry, his race replays look really good. His race 2 back was impressive. The race last time out, pretty impressive as well. You don't have speed figures. You don't have who he faced, really. You don't really know anything about those horses, so that's the problem. But he looked good. I like him. But I'm going to go with an American horse, number 7, Obliteration on top. I really believe he can get out in front and he can take him a long ways. Does he kind of look like Book of Dano? Dennis asked. A little bit. Somebody will inevitably catch him, maybe, right? But I'm going to go number 7, Obliteration. I think he's going to get out in front and take him all the way.
So you touched on one thing that I wanted to add to with kind of the unknownness of these horses is it for international, and we've run into this the Breeders' Cup, and that's a little different in regard to most of those horses. It's still hard, right? But it's at least like most of those horses running the Breeders' Cup have been running in stakes races, and then you can kind of go back and watch replays and piece it together. It's still not ideal, but we get it done. For races like this, that some of them are, especially very smaller stakes races, it makes it tough to even find the replays of them. And then you have a horse that's been running in Tokyo versus a horse that's been running in in Arkansas. Okay, so how am I supposed to compare those two? And again, it's not a perfect science, even if you had the most ideal information, but still, it'd be nice to have some sort of gauge to help with those, and at least give us bettors, handicappers, a starting point to be like, all right, listen, these numbers, take all those into factors, blah, blah, blah. He's got a much higher number. I still think, whatever, it gives you something, but you're just betting blind. And that to me is why when it comes to this Dubai and Saudi, it makes it so hard for us Americans, the bettors, to get into it, to get excited, to want to bet, and listen, we've had the website for how many years now? 15 years almost. And we've never, we'll talk about it on the show, and we'll give you picks. We've tested a little bit, having pages dedicated to say Dubai for the free picks and whatnot, but it doesn't do anything, because people don't know enough, and so they're just not betting those races like say like Kentucky or wherever. So I think that having that information would help.
Yeah, I just don't understand why this and like I'm not saying, hey, every race you should you should be over there and doing this, but it's like, okay, they drew the Saudi card. Somebody at DRF, somebody at Timeform, they're the same company now. Make Timeform numbers for all the races. Make DRF or make buyers for all the races. It's something, right? Like you go and you're like, okay, well, there's no Timeforms for anything that happened at the track itself. Saudi, they have no numbers. Why? It doesn't make sense. There's no numbers for anything in Japan that happened. Now that we do have some Timeforms for international runners, and that I think, that's something, right? So we can go off something, but just give me more data. And like True Digens will still bet it. You would bet a lot more if you actually had your.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
what you use.
You might bet it, but say you might bet whatever, depending on what your budget is, a bankroll, but say you might bet $20 just because you're like, hey, I'm a DJ, right? I get it. We all are. But if you have the data and you really find like this horse, where you're like, holy shit, like I think this horse, there's no way this horse can lose. It might be $200 you're gonna bet, and so, but you just don't have the data to kind of back that up, and so that's I think the pools would be bigger, it'd be more hype on it. But anyways,
but again, like the Saudi Cup, you it's a lot easier to find it, but you got 9 races on this card. Okay, Saudi Cup, take it out. You got 8. Man, it's hard to find a lot of information on these horses because I kind of my thought was like, I'll do a sheet for it. I'll put it on the website to sell, and it's like you go through this and it's like I don't feel right about selling this to somebody. I don't know enough about it. So.
And you don't have anything to use to help you find out about it. That's the other thing, right? Other than replays. And again, it just to go through one by one, it's very tedious. And so it is challenging for sure. Go back to the race. The 8 Centeno Voyage. That's a horse that actually was on our list. I don't know if it was on yours as well on draft night, but I kind of read some stuff that this was a horse that they were trying to get to the Derby, as the Japanese wanted to get to the Derby. And that was back in December after that, November racing. So I think this horse is interesting for sure. I'm very curious to see how the horse runs here. There's a few actually that are running both here and then over in Dubai next month that I'm interested in. Now, what that means, big picture, but I do think they at least visually they look talented, right? So we'll see. But I'm gonna wait and see. I kind of group all the Japanese horses into one, and it's kind of like I don't really know yet what they're gonna do. Could they win this race? For sure. I don't know if you agree to this or not, but with my world, I'm kind of like this horse has looked very good, and I get the purse is bigger, but I don't know. I just always kind of look a little more negatively when they send a horse over here versus staying and running at home. I don't know. Maybe they just said, "Hey, bigger purse, let's go do it." But
I'll be shocked.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
like why you're bringing them over here? To me, it always signifies. And again, this is my opinion, not truth. I mean, it could be truth, but it's not like the truth. For me, it always signifies, hey, we don't think our horse is that good or is good enough, but maybe we can get the win, steal a win over here overseas.
Yeah, and I don't know why that. I don't think he fits really that mold, but he's
I know
here.
that's what you look at the past performances. You're like, that doesn't fit though here.
No. Like Obliteration, for example. 1,000%
Totally
know why he's
perfect
here.
example. Yeah.
This is his Kentucky Derby. He is not going to the Kentucky Derby. He cannot go this far. It's a huge purse. Hey, boom, 1 mile, 1 turn, 1 mile, Obliteration. This is his biggest race of his, season, perhaps. My world feels like one. It's like, why weren't you in the Withers? You know what I mean? Like,
I know, right?
What are you doing? I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe he wins, but I'll be shocked if my world wins. I'll just say that.
The horses won 3 in a row, including the Nashua and the Jerome, and they just now they're here. Nicely bred horse, like the connection, everything. There's like nothing to not really necessarily not like, other than the fact that Aqueduct circuit hasn't been great. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Listen, I'm a little pissed that you went with the same horse because I went with Obliteration to win here, and mostly because of. And I'm with you. I do have 0.0% interest in this horse in the Kentucky Derby, making a move toward the Derby. I think he's very, very good. I think he's very fast, most importantly. I think Asmussen sent him over here thinking, hey, we can win this one because it's a 1-turn mile, and he's really fast. And I don't, and mostly too is like I don't really have any interest in taking 5-2 in my world or 2-1 or wherever he's going to be. And if that Japanese horse gets bet down, I like the horse, not interested. I need a price in this race. I need some sort of playable price, and I think the 8-1 is more than fair. Like, let's talk a little bit about Obliteration. He's kind of had an interesting path to where he is now. This is a horse that debuted at Saratoga, his second race, but his debut at Saratoga was a 10-length win in the Sanford, just eye-popping, and then it became to this Ewing versus Obliteration, this kind of match race in the Saratoga Special next up. And it really underperformed altogether, and the horse lost to Ewing. The horse switches to turf for 3 straight races at Kentucky Downs, Keeneland, and Del Mar. Really runs well on all of them, including the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, where he ran 4th. I mean, that's more than okay, especially against some Euros over that beat him. And then his first race back is the Renaissance at Oaklawn Park, where he wins by the stretch and just extending as he went down. Now, again, it was a listed stakes at Oaklawn. It was a hell of a performance, and it obviously shaped his way into this race. So kind of an interesting path to where we are now. I don't think when you looked at, say, the Indian Summer, you're like, hey, that horse is going to run a Derby prep next year. And yet here we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. Asmussen said basically, well, we knew he couldn't really route, and all the big money for turf or for sprints were going to be on the turf coming up, so that's why we switched him to the turf. But you think about it, it's like, well, that is true. Like he ran in a $1 million turf sprint at Kentucky Downs, then 300,000 at Keeneland, and then he ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. That's $1 million as well. So they took that route because that's where they thought he could make the most money. And then you think about sprints, there's not any. I mean, there are, but you're running for 100, 200,000. So
yeah, until you get to summer, you know.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now we're kind of back in this. And so, yeah, they moved to turf, and that's weird, but it was a plan. They didn't do it just because he lost the Saratoga Special, right? They did it because, well, okay, now it's time for him to try to make us money doing this because he's not going to the juvenile because he can't route. So, I mean, good on Asmussen for looking at racing like hey, I need to make money with racing and not breeding, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Look, again, and a mile may be too long for him, to be completely honest.
Yeah, we don't know.
This is a spot. Hey, it's 1.5 million, and he's pretty good. So let's see if he can go a mile. And I'm with you. I think he's super good. His only bad race on the dirt was the second in the Saratoga Special, where I thought he was just horrible that day. Honestly, his other three dirt races have been electric. That race at Oaklawn was fantastic. The Sanford was amazing. Yep. His debut was amazing.
Yep.
The Saratoga Special was not. So hopefully he runs back to what he did last time out at Oaklawn, and he can carry it 2 more furlongs. He wins if he does that. And that's why I picked him.
Well, I think the track will help, right? We know that Saudi tends to be very quick on this day. And, you know, Asmussen kind of having the idea or, you know, the thought to bring him here, even though he knows that he's not a dirt horse or not like a router is very smart and kind of tells you that he still thinks, even though can still, you know, still win here or run well. And, you know, for a horse that's been kind of disregarded, I feel like we haven't really talked about Obliteration that much until his comeback race. And, you know, the horse has made almost $600,000. And it's like, that's been like to your point or what the story of why they switched to the turf. That's why, you know, had they been trying to run in, you know, all those, you know, bigger races that were for the 2-year-old, you know, sprinters or routers, like that wouldn't happen. Right. And so, yeah, good on them to get the purse. And here's another huge purse here that maybe he can steal some more money. So, don't necessarily see him. But the Bookham Dano comparison, Dennis, is a perfect example. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say he's Bookham Dano because Bookham Dano turned out to be an amazing horse. But it seems like that kind of on paper, like, hey, a horse that was on the Derby Trail, sort of didn't want to go that far, but could run this far. And then after this, like, hey, let's go focus on sprints in the United States. And to me, that feels like what Obliteration will end up doing.
Yep.
But yeah, we basically gave the horse the kiss of death there, Halterman. So I thought I was going to do it for sure, like just by me picking. And then whenever you picked him too, I was like, well, that's toast.
I think we both know going in what could happen. He gets the 7th furlong and the 8th furlong, obviously the mile marker, and it's like, yeah, he just couldn't go that far. But I think we both also know on that track with his speed, he could get there. And it's going to, if he fires, it's going to take somebody pretty good to beat him. I really believe that. But there are question marks for sure.
Do you think he'll be on the lead, or do you think he'll be right off the lead? Like an ideal trip, where do you think he'll be?
Well, I wish I had pace figures for all the horses, but I don't. I imagine he's on or right off. Like, I don't. If you watch his race last time out, he doesn't absolutely have to have the lead, and I think that's good. No. So I think maybe he's just a little off if a couple of horses go out there, but he ain't gonna be far behind.
Yeah, Rosario had the mount that day, and Rosario riding again as well. I think that's a very important thing to note as well. All right, let's move back over to the United States for a few big races here, or at least one big race, and then a couple others. Let's go back to Fairgrounds. Race number 11 on the undercard. Again, this is in the Risen Star Betting Bible as well. It's the Rachel Alexander Stakes, Grade 2. I forgot to mention, by the way, the Saudi Derby is a Kentucky Derby prep race. 30 points to the winner for that one. So 30, 15, 9, 6, and 3. That's easy to remember. But now we'll go to the Fairgrounds for the Rachel, which is a Kentucky Oaks prep race. 50. So just like the Risen Star, 50 points to the winner. 50, 25, 15, 10, 5. Field of 8 lines up here, Halterman. And another kind of sort of, I don't know. It's a challenging race for sure. Bella Ballerina is the favorite at 2-1. This one is more wide open than the Risen Star, but it's got some top heavy horses in it as well.
Yeah, I would agree with you as that for that as well. I really kind of like number 3 Bella Ballerina though. I bet this horse on top. I kind of think she's going to sit a really good trip. I thought both of her races were very good as a 2-year-old. I thought, went back and watched the Goldenrod. I thought she ran well, which is the same distance as this one. So I put her on top. I think she's kind of like Paladin. If they don't go very fast early, she can get the lead. And then if they kind of go fast, she can sit just off and track. So give me number 3 Bella Ballerina. I think she makes it 3 in a row here.
Well, a horse that that beat her, or I should say got beat by Bella Ballerina, the one Just Singing is who I'm going to play here. They faced each other in that Goldenrod that you mentioned. Just Singing did not get a good trip, was slow to start, was kind of had a weird trip, and then came running late. This horse looked really good on the race prior in the maiden special weight going to mile 16th. A daughter of Justify as well, so you can kind of see the resemblance as well as far as the looks go. But this is a horse that I think that mile 16th is right where she wants to be. Ran it to last two starts, and with a better trip last time out, I think this race is a lot closer. That the Goldenrod is a lot closer than it was. Gets John Velasquez to ride here. I thought that was kind of an interesting move for Sweezy, but yeah, I think Just Singing at 7-2, it deserves another play back. So I like her here. Did you consider her quite a bit other than the 3, or because you like the 3 so much, it's kind of hard to go with the horse that she beat last time, right?
No, I like the 1, and look, I mean, they're young horses; they can flip flop win. So I don't really worry about that too much. Got to get a little bit closer. I don't want her that far back, which very well could happen in this spot. That she's a little bit more tactical. I like the 1. I liked the 5, Powered by Family, a little bit as well. I thought that horse really showed a nice turn of foot as well, but again, maybe a little bit too far back for this race for the 5. So. The 1 and the 5 were the 2 that I considered other than the 3.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Ballerina is going to be very tough here. But again, go watch the replay of that race, and I do think there are excuses. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say she would have won, being the 1 Just Singing, but I do think that race would have been a lot closer last out with a little bit better trip. And, again, you got to get the better trip here, right? And a horse that does tend to go back, tend to get in some, some worse trips. And maybe the jockey change will help get her kind of more involved earlier in the race. So give me the 1 Just Seen. Again, win this race, and you're headed to the Kentucky Oaks. So we'll see what happens there. All right, Hollisburn, let's go to Sunday. That's right. Don't take a little break, but get ready because we're going to Sunland on Sunday for race number 7. We'll kick things off with the day. I know you're excited for this race. Okay. The Sunland Park Oaks, which is a Derby or Kentucky Oaks prep race 20. Thank goodness it's not 50. 20 points to the winner. 2010, 6, 4, and 2 for your top 5 finishers. $250K, 1 mile for the fillies, 3-year-olds, field of 8. And Bob Baffert has Battle of Rouge in here at 6-5. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you don't get too excited. That's for sure about this race, but yeah, give me Battle of Rouge. I think that's the horse. We've seen Baffert come over and have success in the past with horses. So I'm going to go the favorite here. On speed figures, this kind of looks like an easy one. Didn't run very well in the British Cup Juvenile Fillies, but I think he'll bounce back. I also think this is kind of a horse that's going to get a really, really nice trip. I like that Hernandez is here to ride as well. I think that's good. So yeah, give me the 4.
This is honestly, I did not want to pick the 4. And then you're just like, I think I have to pick the 4, like I don't know. Like I looked at Cash for a while for Doug O'Neill. Coffee Connection I looked at for a long time. I really wanted to pull the trigger on that one. And then you're like, all right, Battle of Rouge, like even though has her issues for sure. She's got the Explora bad class. she's been okay, right? She's not anything great, but she's been okay. Last race was not good, the Breeders' Cup, but she nearly beat Explora, did beat Explora. I'm sorry, on what was it, the debutante? I think it was, went right by her. Beat Super Cordora in her main special weight. So I mean, obviously she's got talent. That last race was not great. Going to mile 16th, I think, but going to mile, I think she'd be all right. So I didn't love this play just because she's going to be a low price. I don't think she's like all world horse like for Bob Baffert, but I do think she's going to be good enough to win here. So give me the 4 as well. All right, let's go to the Sunland Derby, 20 points to, let me pull that race up. Race number 9, the Sunland Park Derby. 500K, mile 16th, 3-year-olds. Again, same points for this one, 2010, 6, 4, and 2, field of 8. Here, unfortunately, no Bob Baffert to lean on this time, and the odds are fairly wide open. So where are you going?
Yeah, this is rough.
This race is impossible.
It's rough. Express Kid, his last race, the Remington Park Springboard Mile. I mean, that's good enough. That'll win here. But will he do it again? But then you look and you go, will any of these do what they did last time out? Because there's some really poor efforts mixed in with maybe one good effort for a lot of these. I went the boring route with Express Kid. I put him on top. I don't love it. Bricklin is a horse I almost picked. I almost picked Sharon's Beach at one point. Like, I was all over, but I did end up going with Express Kid. I don't like this race. I do like that Hernandez is going to come over to ride Express Kid. I think that's good. It's any of them here, and this is as far as the Derby goes, I just don't think this is much.
No, I don't either. Honestly, there's not much. I mean, I'll be honest, and nothing really out of this race is going to surprise me as far as winning. Like, if any of these horses win, I'll be like, all right, that doesn't really surprise me because it kind of looks like that on paper. So kind of go into the race with that idea. The numbers are always tricky because they're running all over the place, from Remington Park to Santa Anita to Oaklawn to Turf Paradise. They're all over, right? And so it's really hard to gauge that. I did TUP, that's Turf Paradise, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not Turf.
Yes.
I always want to get those confused.
Yes, Turf Paradise, yeah.
I'm gonna go with the 4, who's been running at Turf Paradise. Diodoro, that the cleanest trainer in the game, has got this horse. And listen, that last race was eye popping. Now again, look where it was ran. I get it. You don't need to explain to me, but that horse ran that well to run in this race, and it's not like this race is. I mean, part of you is like, well, it's Turf Paradise, like, and then you're like, I can't. But now it's Sunland, and who cares really? It's about the same. So if the horse can run that kind of race, and the number didn't come back as high, say as high as like Bricklin or even Express Kid, like you mentioned, but I do think if a horse advances a little bit more, the horse could be a factor on the front end. So give me 40-20 at 6-1. Again, I'm just kind of taking a shot because I don't love anything.
I like that pick though, because look, that horse did run off the screen. Like I said, it is Turf Paradise, but hey, this isn't much. So, I like to pick. I'll say this about the, obviously, like my job is I every track, every day, handicapping, watching, everything like that. So when a Derby field first comes out, a Derby prep field, I should say, first comes out, it's rare that I don't remember a horse that's in it or know who it is, right? So like even like the Withers, it's like I knew every horse. So this race came out, I knew 2 horses out of the 8. 2. Now that's not to say that I started handicapping and like, oh yeah, I do remember this, but to first glance and go, I've heard of 2 of these. That I've never had that happen to me before, and it happened in this one. So take that for it's just not. It's not great.
Let me run something by you here, an idea. And we have no power, and it's not going to matter what we say. So we can just say whatever we want. But there needs to be a punishment. Like, why is this? I get it's only 20, But why is the winner of this race getting 20 points to the Derby? Like, that's insane to me. That a horse can get 20 points into the Derby gate, which is almost enough. Like, all you got to do is run one more shitty race and hit the board and you're in. To me, it's like, let's use, like, they need to have a way to where the next year, or maybe they reevaluate every 5 years or whatever, where it's like, all right, let's look at the Sunland Derby. Let's look who's won those races over the years. Let's look who's won those or had the top 4 finishers or whatever. Now let's look how they performed in the Derby. Did they make it to the Derby? What was that overall picture? If they haven't performed well, then the race needs to be. They don't need to have it. There needs to be another race. Like, if they're not getting horses or trainers to run their horses in this race, so it's lower level horses, then what are we doing? Whenever some races, like another race, the Southwest is a 20-point. You know what I mean? Like, how is it the same?
It's hard. I agree. I think they want to include tracks like this to give them a big day. I think that's part of it. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to stick up for it, right? I think people listening will point to, well, Mind That Bird, ran in the Sunland Derby.
Yeah, I know.
There's
one.
Firing Line, finished third in the Derby. When he third, I think. Yeah, he was third. He ran here. So, like, the fact of it is, it's just been a while since we've seen something come out of this, So, but I think they want to try to include as many tracks as possible, and that's just what it is, right?
Well, just wait.
I hear you. Like,
Express Kid is going to win the Derby now. By the way, I just put that horse in the winner's circle. But
to your point, it's valid. It's like, let's use logic and look. Like, hey, Express Kid can't run at Sunland. Well, come to the Risen Star and run. And make that feel better. I don't know. Look. I like little tracks having big days, but it's hard to sit here and get real passionate and make a passionate argument back to you.
Well, and again, we can't tell the future, although I wish we could. You don't know how these horses are going to end up, and they might be really good down the road. But you're listening to a guy, meaning you, that we'll both do this for a living, but you handicap on the website. You're our handicapper for the site. You see, like, there's no one and I'll stand by this. There's no one in the country that's literally watched every single horse. Like, when you look at a car, you're like, yeah, he's seen those horses run, whether it be in person or on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you're looking at a race, be like, dude, I knew 2 of them. And that's pretty shocking, because most of the times, one thing that's fun about Halterman is when you're like at the races or you're looking at a form, you're like, oh yeah, you'll be like, and it will be like a random race. It's not like the Derby or something. Like, right. I remember watching that horse debut. That was pretty good. Or he watches the races. Like, whenever you're getting picks from us, like, he's picking them because he liked what he saw. It's not just like, taking numbers and just seeing what happens.
Right.
And so when you don't know a horse, you're like, oh, that's pretty alarming when it's a Derby prep.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, like 40-20, once I was like, oh yeah, that was that Diodoro horse that day, like, so I like a horse like that, I remembered, but like Pavlonian and Sharon's Beach, I remembered Way Beyond and Danica. Once I got the past performances they ran in the prep there, which was the Riley Allison. But yeah, I mean, I just being honest, like at first glance, it's like, oh my gosh, who are these horses? So anyway, who knows? Maybe somebody jumps up here and has a great race, but I wouldn't count on it.
And sometimes you've seen Baffert bring his lighter horses here just because he knows he can, or a horse that wants to, a sprinter that he knows can get him, can get this distance at Sunland.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So, for him not to have anyone to bring over, when he is bringing a filly over, that I thought that was interesting as well.
You explained to me his thought, because why do you have 3 horses last week and not race. Bring anybody here? It's weird.
When you have a horse, like, again, it's not like he's not bringing horses. He's, it's like, why not? Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Or how, like, you have a million horses that not one of them was ready to run this weekend in this race. I find that hard to believe. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know why he didn't bring anybody here.
There you go. There's another one. Stronghold.
So what though?
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
I mean, he didn't do anything.
I know.
He did go. I mean, he did win. I think that was San Diego Derby, but he never did anything after that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, listen, we'll see. I just think there should be some. Maybe there is. I don't know.
Look
doubt
at it like this. Okay, it used to be worth 50.
It's
Now
true.
it's worth 20. So maybe we just move on. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just like, well, okay.
It's and some people say I think it's easy, and I'm one of them where you're like, well, why don't they just bring like one Chip Honcho and they just bring them here? Well, it's not as easy. Like they're the horses. Like you got to ship them, and it costs money to ship, and it's not like the purse is, although it's 500,000, but it's not like someone is just dishing out money, and so it's like it's a whole deal to get the horse. It was like, oh, all right, we'll just stay here and whatever, and so it's not like you got the conglomerates of. Like we'll just ship them wherever we want to and get them there. I don't know. Like I know I'm guilty of saying that all the time where it's like, why would you not just run them there? But it's like, hey, we're home. Let's just run them here and then we'll see what happens versus shipping them all the way out to Sunland Park.
It's valid, but yeah. And like a lot of these guys, they don't really love to do that. They don't like to go ship out. And look, at the end of the day, let's say it's Oaklawn, and we've got Kelly training our horse, and I know the timing isn't right or whatever, but let's say he comes to me and goes, hey, we could run in the Rebel at Oaklawn, and let's pretend the purse is the same, or we could go to Virginia and run in the Virginia Derby and pretend it's a world where the purse is the exact same. I mean, I'm choosing the Rebel. Yeah, and I don't care what the field looks like because it's the Rebel. I want to run in the Rebel, and I think that's a lot of it too.
I mean, if he told, like, say, and to even go further, if he said, hey, like, and just as that example, like, we can run the Rebel, probably gonna be like 30-1, and it's not gonna be, it's unlikely. Or and again, I know nothing about how much it costs to ship, but we'll ship the horse out to Sunland to run in the Sunland Derby. Will probably be like 8-1 or so, but it's going to cost us say 5,000, to get there and back, and the entry fee, whatever. And it's like, you're like, oh, we have a better chance to win out there, sure, but it's what I mean. You'd probably be like, yeah, let's just see what happens here. I think that's a lot, because it's not every trainer or not every owner is Godolphin or Redham Racing or whoever, where it's like we can just make those decisions. Boom. It's like, no, it's you and me. It's Ed and Susie Orr. It's, like,
right. Yeah.
Saw an owner on the list there. It's Randy Haug. Yeah. It's like, oh, we'll stay here or whatever. So I think
and it like you said, if you go out there and something happens and you don't run well, you're losing money on the deal for sure.
Yeah.
I've paid shipping fees up from Prairie Meadows to Canterbury before to run. And
how much was it, by the way, to ship?
I would have to. I'm sure I've got the invoices filed somewhere. It was not cheap. I'll tell you that. And that's just a little van ride, 2.5 hour trailer / van ride. And so anyway, to the point, and we were running in like a 15K claimer. I think we did lose money on that deal because he didn't run a step, but he needed to run on the turf, so we tried it. But I mean, it's. Honestly, if I had a horse like Carson Street, I'd probably be at the Sunland Derby. But I do understand why they're not. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a look at a little more information than you guys cared about. But Halterman, your pick of this race was Express Kid, right?
Yes, Express Kid.
And
I'm
he's
very
so
excited about it. You can tell.
He feels good about it. And I've got the 4 40-20. Yeah. Anytime you
Where'd you go? Oh,
hit the wrong button.
Okay.
Anytime you take you get answer a question of, is that your pick? You say yes. That's never good.
I know.
No, it's just that kind of race. Honestly, I mean, hope you get lucky, and it's hard to it's just really it's challenge. They're all challenging, but it's challenging because it's just not very. Anytime you have a bunch of not very good horses that have been running at a variety of tracks, hey. At least we have times and numbers. So there's that, right?
Yeah.
Beggars can't be choosers, Halterman.
Well, Samich said to me, he's like, well, a lot of times our data is inaccurate. I said, I'll take inaccurate data over nothing,
Yeah, at least it's data.
At least it's something. Look at. Oh, quickly, why is Pratt off Paladin? Because he's riding Nisos at Saudi, so that's why he's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So not got a little TGAF, not bad either. So
Mhm. Yep.
I did see that it's fun to see Flo back.
Flo, what a ride it's been for him. He moves out to Santa Anita and he wins the big race for Bob Baffert of all people. He wins the Robert B. Lewis. And now he's back riding just for Saturday, I believe, at Fairgrounds.
Apparently, Brad said, "All right, that was your. I'll bring you back just for one."
How funny is that? But yeah, he is. He's at Santa Anita the other
day.
So
I died laughing the other day after that race when he won because they were interviewing Baffert like as how they do like on FanDuel or whatever as they're walking to the, and he's like, "Yeah, I could you mind you like Flo had just gotten there, right? It just changed." He's like, "Yeah, I can't remember how he said it. Like, I called Flo and told him I got the right horse for it. I know the horse is perfect for you." It's like, yeah, I bet you that's how it worked out. Like, Flo just magically arrives at Santa Anita, and all of a sudden, you've got the horse for him. Like, okay.
Dude, the horse got a perfect trip.
Oh,
I mean, he rode the horse perfect. I was dying. I was like, "Yep."
Needed a scenery change, Halterman.
I tell you, these jockeys, man. If you are a guy, and there's a lot of us that you want to bet jockeys, and you get hooked on jockeys, and you critique jockeys, and man, they will drive you crazy because that shit happens a lot. One that it's like, man, this guy has lost it. Little change of scenery, gets a horse or two here or there, and all of a sudden it's like, what was that? That was an absolute perfect trip, So it happens a lot.
Do that every time. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. We're over on the website at racejuice.com. You know how to find us. Free picks, premium selections, anything you want for racing this weekend. Did you confirm or deny, is Saudi going to be on the site?
I think I'll probably end up doing it.
Just free picks?
No, I'll probably end up doing it. I know myself. I'm going to go there tonight because I don't have anything to watch tonight. I'll probably do it.
Yeah, this dude's such a degenerate. He was doing videos at halftime of the Super Bowl, although better than watching the halftime of the Super Bowl or the Super Bowl really in general. But yeah, this guy, that's what he's doing. So if he's got spare time, that's what he's working on.
I can assure you that doing those videos was more entertaining than the Super Bowl. My God, that was a horrible game. I'm glad Seattle covered and won and we made money, but watching it was like watching paint dry.
I was gonna say it felt good because like our opinion all for 2 weeks was never in doubt. Like you're just like, yep, this is gonna cash. But you're also just like, can this fast forward, please? Like I legitimately lost interest, and like I was so excited to be like, it's a Super Bowl. I'm gonna live bet it. I'm just gonna do fun shit during the game. During drives, whatever. Just because it's a Super Bowl, I lost interest. I lost interest in betting it. I was just like, you know what? I'll just ride the original, like the one bet, and just call it because I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like that's pretty bad to take a degenerate and be like, I lost interest.
Yeah, it was about 2 minutes left, and I thought, okay, I've got 2 videos. I would rather get done that way I can sleep in on Monday. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to do it because I am bored. I'm barely watching this thing as it is, so you might as well go up and do it. So yeah, that's what I did. I was doing videos. So people on both sides that were watching both on my phone were watching both halftime shows, and I was getting texts about it, and I was like, God damn, you people need to get a fucking life. I mean, good God, you got to get over it, And I just kept on doing my videos.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
God.
Think about, I had my parents over, and I'm like, I finally was just like, they kept I'm like, I don't care enough, either way, like. Should we watch this one or should we turn it over to? I guess there was another one or something, another halftime show, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just gonna watch it. Oh, you can't understand it. I'm like, all right. I mean, I don't care, really. I'm not invested in it one way. That's what my mom. One of the first things she said when she got to the house, she was like, "So what do you think about this halftime stuff?" I'm like, "What?" I was like, "What's the halftime stuff?" I was like, "I don't even know." I that no one knows who he is really. And like, she's like, no, about, all this. And there's another one. I'm like, I don't know. I just choosing not to care. So
I just don't.
but somehow the halftime was better than the game. So
well, that. I think honestly, like I said, I was doing videos, but I didn't watch either one of them. I would imagine either one of them had to be better than the game because the game was atrocious. And even when I'm done, I'm like, okay, I go watch the last of the third quarter and the fourth quarter. I watched it and I was like, yeah, no, I made the right decision. This is terrible. So,
did you know? Well, it had to be if you were really on the Patriots that game, like you were wholeheartedly believe like Patriots are going to win. That had to have been the most just painful game to watch because it never really. I mean, you knew they weren't going to do it, but at the same time, they were in it like the whole game for the most part. Like it's one play away just to get back in it, and like literally couldn't even pick up a first down, And it was just like so. You always had that little glimmer of hope. The whole, oh, the defense held. All right, we get the ball back.
Yeah.
No. Oh, we got it. We did it again. All right. No. It just kept on. It was painful. And I learned this last night. I think Manlow is the one that told me. So I might double check this. But Drake May set a Super Bowl record for most yards in a quarter. Did you know this?
No, I didn't know that.
I believe that's true. Someone can fact check that. I think it was like 230 yards or something he had in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
Isn't that insane? I was like, holy shit. I know he ended up with almost 300 yards passing, which I thought was like way higher than I expected. But yeah, like apparently he said that's like it was a record. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, Link just said it, and I texted I forget who I texted to. I said never has 12-0, and I said never has 12-0 felt like 45-0.
Yeah.
Like it was just like it. As a Seattle backer with the points, I'm sitting there like, are they going to win this game like 12-9? And it feels like it's so much better. You know what I mean? It feels like they should have won by 100 and they're going to not cover. I just kept thinking, oh God, this is going to be a brutal loss for the bettors,
Yeah.
The other thing that happened, and I can never remember a Super Bowl like this. I never could find somebody. Now look, like say you ask your mom, like, yeah, Patriots are tough. They're going to win, but I could never find somebody who was an actual bettor that could analytically look at the game and play the Patriots. Everybody I talked to the whole, say, week, even 10 days, right after it was like, yeah, well, they're going to win. You know what I mean? And it almost was to the point where it's like, okay, way too many people that I know are on this. I hate that feeling.
I know.
But you just couldn't find, you couldn't find relevant. You could find maybe a stat here or there, but you couldn't find enough relevant data to give the Patriots a chance in that game. So, and then it comes true like that. And it's like, wow, it was exactly what we thought on paper. And that's why it was so boring because everything you thought happened,
I know. Well, I will say this, basically the worst, it couldn't have been worse for Drake May. Like as far as for a guy that damn near, imagine if he were an MVP a night before, whatever they released that, it was night or two before the Super Bowl. Like he was a vote away from winning MVP. If he wins MVP and plays like that, looks like that, deer in the headlights the whole game, couldn't get the job done, that would have been pretty sad. So at least it did get the MVP right.
In fairness to Drake, he had no chance.
He was seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
He was seeing ghosts midway through the first quarter, They had no line that Will Campbell allowed I think he said another record in attempts or the lack of attempts blocked. And it was bad. And he started forcing it or started rushing through his the routes and whatever, and just couldn't. The timing was off, and it just was like a snowball effect after that. But they did get Seattle's defense, man. They were what do they call them? What do they call them? Night something, or they're trying to come up. What used to be Legion of Boom, and now it's Night something, or I don't know what it was. But anyways, they were legit good. So
yep.
I mean,
they were all over them.
Oh yeah, it was almost sad to watch. You're just like, oh man, like this poor guy's just getting killed.
Yeah.
And he, and I was worried the whole even going in. It's like he hates for whatever reason in the playoffs. he hates to throw the ball away. I mean, I think he has all season, but he hasn't played really good defenses like he did in the playoffs. He won't throw the ball away. And it's like he just takes these sacks when you just get rid of it, you know? So he was all of a sudden 1st and 10 turns into 2nd and 18 like that.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, well, there's a 3 now. There's a 3, you know.
Yeah.
So it was tough.
Well, you were texting me saying, has there ever been a team shut out in the Super Bowl? And it really felt like they were going to get shut out.
But they were, yeah. And that's another thing too. That pass he threw, the touchdown was incredible. It was a great play. And the pass before that to get him in, it was like, where? And at that moment, you're like, oh shit. And then the Patriots held him to 3 and out in the next drive. And they were sort of driving again. You're like, we might get a game on our hands. And then you had the pick, and it was like, all right, never mind.
And a horrific
pick. I don't know what.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't know.
So he'll be fine. I wouldn't worry about him, but you know, they had such a weak schedule, and then they got so lucky, in the playoffs with the Denver situation. I don't think Denver would have beat Seattle either, but I think it would have been a better game.
Yeah.
So anyway, it is what it is, but it's Seattle. I kind of feel sorry for Seattle because everybody's talking about, the Super Bowl was so bad. And if you're a Seattle fan, you're like, this team was unbelievable this year, and everybody's talking about how bad the Super Bowl was. So Seattle deserves a ton of credit. They're amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you on Drake. I've liked him all season. I think I know because I've seen it. The hate for him has gone too far now. It's just like he's 23 years old. He's the second youngest quarterback to ever start in the Super Bowl. He was second in voting by 1 vote in the MVP. And yeah, the Super Bowl went very bad, about as bad as you can imagine, I guess. But it's like all of a sudden I knew he was a phony. It's like, really? Like, all right, that seems interesting. They weren't even supposed to be in the Super Bowl this year. That's the other thing. The Patriots were, they went 3 games maybe last year. I want to say 3 or 4.
It was bad.
And, they were ahead of schedule, obviously. They benefited from a schedule. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think, now the issue is for them, because I do think they'll be all right, is this was like, Mahomes is obviously going to be back. There's obviously going to be tougher. A lot of the big time guys were not in it this year, or were out, or had issues, or whatever. So the schedule to get that way was very beneficial as well. So he's going to have to get better, and the schedule's obviously going to get tougher. But I don't know. Yep, we at least cashed, so there's that. So
yeah, for sure.
That's all that really matters, right?
That's all that matters. That's absolutely right. Yeah, at the end of the day.
All right, go to Twitter at @race_dudes, Instagram, Facebook. Find out all episodes of Blinkers Off by heading over to the podcast page on the website. Make sure you get the Risen Star Betting Bible. It's available right now. The final version is available right now. So if you want those plays for Saturday, we have you covered over at the website. You can get it for free if you are a premium subscriber. Great time to do it with the prep races just really starting to get going each and every week. So when the betting Bibles are available, we do have an update coming to the betting Bibles. Look for that here the next month or so. So that'll be exciting as well. Anything else, Halterman, before we end this thing?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback. I think the betting Bibles are they're awesome, but they're gonna become more awesome once that's built out. So I can't wait for that.
It's the best. It's gonna be great because it's gonna be better for you guys and it's gonna be better for us.
Yes.
So easier to get out, faster to get out, and easier for you guys to access. And so it's just all together better. So the betting Bible itself, the content, the idea, what we provide really isn't changing. It's just more about how it's presented. So look for that. I would say definitely by the final preps, it'll start popping out, and then of course for the Derby and those things. So
did you notice the developer says February, but I'm like, there's no way you guys will have that done. But no, maybe.
Fingers crossed, we might even get it done before the end of the month.
That would be amazing.
Although
that's what they said, but
I've done this long enough to know that
it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
No.
I mean, they're great, but there'll be something. So
yes, yeah. Anyway, sorry I interrupted, but
no, it's good. All right, guys. Until next time, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at @racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.